Hello, Dan Cadan. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, Simon. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, and you are sat in front of an international poster for what film?
For Scarecrow,
And why Scarecrow?
it's just one of my favorite films. It's such an understated film, and Al Pacino and Gene Hackman in two of their best performances. And I had the privilege of actually talking about Scarecrow with Al Pacino at the Irishman premiere that Stephen Graham had invited me to, and.
Right. We're a minute in, and how many name drops are you doing already?
Oh,
Okay, I'm
listen,
gonna that's
I'll be piling
impressive.
up. I'll be like this by the end of the
Let
record.
do you know what? I'm gonna get a pen and paper and I'm gonna keep a scoreboard.
Oh,
That's
don't do, that's
I,
that's not fair because then you make me feel like I've gone back home to the pub and everyone in Huddersfield's going, "You're just name dropping now, aren't you?" And I'm going, "Well, no, these are the people I'm working with."
You tell me your story of Stephen Graham personally inviting you to the premiere of The Irishman and meeting Al Pacino. It's very relatable for us all, that, Dan.
Well, yeah, of course it is. Well, no, listen, for a buff and a geek like me, um, who's loved that film forever. Listen, everybody loves Al's, The
Yeah.
Godfather, all the classics. But to talk to him about that film, and to be honest, he was quite enamored because he couldn't believe I'd seen it, and we spoke for about 10 minutes, and it was just like overwhelming. And he told me that Tarantino had just found a 35 print and invited him to his house to see it because it's got this infamous sort of opening shot,
Yeah.
which is so beautiful. I mean, anyway, listen, it's a stunner. I mean, on The Irishman, I actually bought Stephen a first edition of I heard you paint houses, or I hear you paint
Yeah,
houses.
yeah, the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when he got the job, because we're all old pals, and I said, "Look, that's for you, for getting the job." And when he came back, he said, "Oh, that's for you," and he gave me the book back, and he'd had Pacino, Scorsese, and Nero signing for me. So you should be up to 6 or 7 now on the names.
You're heading to double figures in under 5 minutes. So you've dropped us a couple of hints there that you're a man from Huddersfield, and
Yes.
also I would imagine that the bulk of people, all due respect, looking at us now, know neither of us, yet they've seen your. There's a very strong chance that they've seen your work. So can you just introduce yourself and your background and just a couple of the things that we might have seen just to set the scene.
Okay. I mean, do you want the? I'll try and do it as abridged as possible because the whole sort of background story is quite interesting. But I was raised by my mum and my grandma up in Huddersfield in we had a
Yeah.
little council flat. My dad had left when I was very young. I was 6 weeks old, and he left behind these sort of big metal trunks that moved around. No, no, he didn't. He came to visit once, and he dropped these trunks off. And when I was about 5 or 6,
Yeah.
I jimmied one open because I was so curious. And I was looking at these things. Reminded me of something like from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Right? I
Yeah.
got one open, and inside was a JVC top loader VHS. Right,
Okay. Top
which is
loader.
yeah, which is
Proper.
more like a trap
Yeah.
than like than something to watch films on. So I begged my mum. She was clean. She was a cleaner, and I begged her to join the video club. She cleaned more
Yeah.
houses, so we could afford to join the video club, and that was it. I was in. I'm like 9 or 10, and I just watched film after film. I befriended the lady that ran the video store, and I used to go after school and sit there until dark, and then go home, and we just talk about films. And she'd give me preview copies and give me the posters and stuff. And I was just obsessed.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely obsessed. Everything at school, every school project was related to film, and the teacher would be like, "You've got to get away from film because you're not going to work in film. You live in Huddersfield." I'm like, "I will." No, you won't.
Yeah.
So it's last of the summer wine or leave, right? And so
You'd look very good on a bed rolling down a hill.
I was about to say the bath, but yeah, the
Yeah.
best. um, so anyway, fast forward, I ended up moving to London, and I was doing temping work that a lot of people do, with an
Yeah.
agency, just because I could type, so admin and things. And I was actually earning really good money, and I thought I was Rockefeller. It's not really good money, but it was for me.
Yeah.
And I was working at the Union Bank of Switzerland in East London, in the city.
Yeah.
I was inputting invoices for like spoiled bankers who their invoices like had all their laundry figures and how much the rent was, and I had to just sit and do that. Anyway, I had a friend, Lena from Huddersfield, was an actress, and her boyfriend at the time was Jason Fleming. the actor.
Yep, yep, yep,
He called me up and he said, "Look, Dan, there's a job going. It's a running job. It's £30 a day, and it's for a week.
yep,
It's 5 days. I was on, I think back then I was on about 800 quid a week, and this is 1997, 98,
yep,
doing this temping work, and that's why I was like, oh, that's such good money. And then it's like, well, there's 150 quid for 1 week to work in the industry that you've longed for, that you always wanted. So that day, I just shut my. I don't even think I did shut the computer down. I just walked out and went to no, Jason said to me, I've just done a film with Vinnie Jones and they
yep.
need a runner in the post-production. So anyway, as I said, I walked out, went into Soho, which I wasn't that familiar with. So as a runner back then, you kind of needed to be familiar. You need to know how to get the
Yep.
bacon sandwiches and get the best cups of tea, because there wasn't that much coffee back then,
There's no
right?
such thing as a good cup of tea, but carry on.
All right, fair enough. And of course, I went to Wardour Street to Scar Films, which was Matthew Vaughn and Guy Ritchie. And
Yep.
they just made Lock, Stock, and they were just in the process of doing the post-production
On Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels,
on Lock,
1998.
Stock. So
Yep.
that was my first foray, really. And I went in and I didn't see Matthew that day. I saw Guy because he was living at the office as well on Wardour
Yep.
Street. And we just got on really well. And I did the week, left. I was sitting at my friends who was putting me up in Wandsworth, and I'm like, wow, it's just amazing. It was like, what did you do? I
So
watched them.
you've quit your job
Yeah, to do this
to
one
do
week.
1 week.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I get a call on the Monday from Guy saying, can you do another week? And I was like, yes, I'm going to do another week. That sort of first week ended up becoming 13 years sporadically
Yep.
on and off with Guy, which was obviously incredible and the greatest education in film, in success and failure, and just digging your heels in, and that I could have had.
And across that 13 years, I'm not a gossipy I'm not a gossip
Yeah.
site or anything like that, but just to acknowledge this was the period that he was in a relationship with Madonna. And so presumably that's how you came into her orbit as well at
Yes,
that point.
exactly. So I mean, one of my favorite tales from that era was when I was washing up. Matthew was I'm washing the dishes, and and Matthew is talking to Guy, and I can hear him. He's going, Guy, Sting and Trudy have
I
offered you.
like the fact you've set this up as a man of the people story by saying I'm washing the dishes at the start.
I was, because I remember
I
dropping one and
love it.
breaking it.
I love it. I love it. Maybe it is Last of the Summer Wine.
Maybe. Well, maybe I could get Guy to do, Lash the Sun Wine the
Can
movie. We
you
get like Brad
imagine?
Pitt as Compo,
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Cavill as Foggy.
Lovely. So you were washing the dishes.
Wash the dishes. Vaughan said to Guy that it's two more names, Sting and Trudy, because obviously Trudy produced Lock, Stock,
Yes.
and have offered him Lake House, which is their grand abode in Wiltshire, to go and start writing the next thing.
Yeah.
And Guy, I remember I'm watching it, and Guy went, yeah, all right, but I'm taking Dan. And I was thinking, what? Why is he taking me? And Vaughan said exactly what I was thinking. Why are you taking him? And he went, because he's funny and we get on and he can write. I was like, oh my God.
So in that week you were working with him
Yes.
as a post-production runner, how could he
Yes.
tell you could write?
Oh no, it wasn't that. I mean, this is a few
Yeah, yeah.
months. This is a
Okay.
few months.
But what had happened to alert him to the fact that you could write?
Well, I'd spoken about my love of film. He got it. I'm not quite as encyclopedic as I used to be, but I
Yeah.
was. I can't remember if I'd written one thing that he'd read.
Yeah.
There was some reason, and so I went with him and Statham to this house, and we started to.
Jason Statham,
Jason,
just for clarity's sake. Yeah.
okay, all right.
Or the, as we call him.
The Stath.
Yep.
And we started to sort of throw the idea for Snatch around,
Yeah.
which was initially called Snatch apostrophe D, Snatched. Because I actually wrote an article for Hot Dog. Do you remember Hot Dog?
I
James
do remember
Brown?
Hot Dog magazine. Yep.
And they changed the title of the film, and they put on the front of the hot dog on the cover, they put Snatch apostrophe D with a asterisk saying sodding title correct at time of going to press, because they were so mad that they changed the title and they kind of
I
blamed me,
love
and I'm
that.
like, it wasn't my fault. I was an easy target, still am. Um, yeah, so we started throwing that around, and I moved into being his assistant. I was not a very good assistant. I was never meant to be somebody's, you know what I mean? And especially when you, as you correctly say, he was with Madonna, and there are assistant elite, right? And then
Yes.
there's me. When they'd rented me, it was an old Renault Megane, the old shape Renault Megane, while we were making Snatch.
Yeah.
And I used to drive, I used to pick him up. I took him to the Cow, a pub in Westbourne Grove, with Madonna in the Megane, right? And we're driving around she'd be like, "This smells of farts." I'm like, "It must be the crisps I just opened."
Proper Northern Chris, can't beat him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, I was in her orbit, and I've worked with her on and off for several years. I still do now and again.
So my favorite credit from your extensive CV that involves Madonna is you wrote her dialogue in the 2002 James Bond movie Die Another Day. There has to be a film story in there.
There's a film and life story in there, and it's pretty damn great, I have to say, because
I'm
I
listening.
remember so first of all, England had just beaten Argentina in the World Cup. It was the morning. It was 2002, right?
Yeah, okay.
I think
South
1-0.
South Korea Japan World Cup.
I
I remember
believe
that.
so. It was the day that I was separated now, but I got with the mother of my eldest daughter,
Yeah.
Cassia. So there was two strikes, and the third one was I got a phone call that day from Madonna's manager at the time saying Barbara Broccoli is going to send a car for you in about 3 days, like two
Hang on.
days.
Let me
I'm
just
like,
write. Yeah.
yeah, come on,
Got
what were
that.
you?
Yeah. Just put
I'm
that on a
like,
pad.
no, can you imagine? Again, as the film, I kind of stumbling into these things,
Yeah.
and I knew nothing about it. I didn't know she was doing the music or anything. And I said, why? And she said, well, they've asked her to do a cameo. She's doing the soundtrack, but she's refusing to do it unless you write her part. And I'm like, okay, whatever. The car comes, it picks me up, it takes me to Pinewood, and I'm like in awe because
Yeah.
because Snatch had been out 2 years, so I've been in studio situations, but not I hadn't been to Pinewood at this point.
And 4.5 years previous, just for time context, you were inputting invoices into a computer. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly, and washing up a year
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. Yeah. Got that.
But then, so get there, and I'm walking through, and outside the studio, they built the. I think the opening was set in. I think it was set in Korea, wasn't it? And there was like this whole
It's the
like,
prisoner exchange one, isn't it? The
yeah,
opening of the opening of Die Another Day is actually brilliant. It
yes,
hints, considering where the film goes, there was a real hint of darkness to the
yes,
Brosnan character at the start of that, and then it ended up in some ice temple or something like that, didn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. An invisible car,
yeah.
right?
The invisible
The
car. Yeah,
invisible car, but it was a miniature that in Korea or wherever it wasn't. That was there, and I was like in awe of this thing, going, "Oh my God, look at that!" And then I go into the studio. I'm led to meet Barbara and Michael G. Wilson. They're
yeah,
sitting in this room. So obviously, God, I'm a Bond fan, huge Bond fan, right?
yeah.
And so I'm in this room with
Neil Purvis and Robert Wade,
Robert
I'd
Wade,
guess. Yeah,
yes. Who I walked in, and Neil was pretty cool. Robert, I think, was a bit furious as to why this little upstart was there, and I totally got it. Right, I totally understood why he'd be angry because they've written three or four. Yeah, I've got no writing credit, right? So I walk in, and he said to me, "So why are you here?" And I went, I don't know, he wants to make it a bit funnier or something." And he went, "Funnier," and he walked out. And Barbara Broccoli emoji was and laughed. And I'm like just sitting there like a rabbit in the headlights going, what have I done? What's happening? Anywho, so I ingratiate myself with them. They take me around the Ice Palace. And then Pierce Brosnan walks out and he's got a cut on his nose. And they said to him, "Is that from the fight scene?" And he went, "No, no, the baby through a remote control this morning hit me right in the." I was like, that's genius. Number one, Bond was felled by a baby, right? Anywho, I say to the chaps, look, let's just work together. So you want me to do it? Let, I'll work with you. Let's put something together, and we can just say I wrote it, which
yeah,
was pretty much what we did. And most of the dialogue reverted to what they already had, because
yeah.
obviously it was a fencing scene. But I mean, it's so bad. I mean, it's so like cheesy and Roger Moore, but they actually kept a line in that I wrote for
Go on.
Bond.
Go on.
And it's when she says, Do you fence, Mr. Bond?" And he says, "I've been known to keep my tip up." That was kept saying. I mean, it's,
Let's just end this.
I'm so sorry.
Let's just
But can you imagine, like, because I went and watched it. I took my mom and stepdad to the premiere because they're like my stepdad was the biggest Bond fan, and I think he was the one that was in the Albert Hall. I can't remember. Anyway, that line was in, and I was like, "Oh my God, James Bond said that because I wrote it for him."
Dan, did you get richly rewarded for doing like one day? I don't usually do like the kind of money financy question. I'm just curious, when you do one day on a Bond film,
Yeah,
do they just pay you a day rate for that? What
they
what do
gave
you
me the invisible car.
did they? Yeah, very good. They gave you the invisible £1 million check as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, to be honest, I don't. I might have got a grand.
Yeah.
I
For
might have
that
got a grand,
line.
but I'd have done it. I'd have done it for nothing, just to walk into my.
I think you should be fined for that line.
Exactly, you're right. Actually, I'll send that back. If Barbara is
Yeah.
listening, I'll send you that money back. My dear.
So I mean, you're a film nerd. You're working in Guy Ritchie's orbit. There was a film, Filth and Wisdom, that you co-wrote with Madonna at one
Yes.
point. That
Yes.
was going to be a thing. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, tell us your film flybys.
That was something that it was going to be a short. It was like a
Yeah.
20-minute short for her to direct. It was going to be well, it was a directorial debut, but and that came about because I'd just watched Everything Is Illuminated. Do you ever see that? The Liev
I
Schreiber.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Eugene Hoots, the singer of Gogol Bordello, is in that. And I was so taken by him and his character. I'm like, this guy's amazing. Who is he?
Yeah.
Told Madonna about it. She said that someone else had just mentioned it. A lot of people say that if I go, "Oh, you want to see this?" They always go, "Yes, somebody's already told me." So
Yeah.
either I am late to the party or they're just like, don't like to give you credit for anything. Um, but so we got in touch with Eugene and he became the lead in Filth and Wisdom.
Yeah.
Richard E. Grant was in it. It's Vicky McClure was in it. It was a really it, I think. I mean, I actually quite like it. It's quite a fun. It's quite a good movie.
Yeah.
But because it was meant to be a short, and we started to film it as a short, and then she went, we need some more. Let's write more. Let's write more as we're shooting. So it became that thing.
Ah, okay.
It hadn't been. Had we had a little bit more time, it could have been really good. But then,
Yeah.
she premiered it at Berlin. You know, she listen. That lady is a remarkable woman, as we know, and she's incredible to work with. She's incredibly collaborative,
Yeah.
appreciative of what you do,
Yeah.
and I think that she gets such a hard time for stuff that's kind of unnecessary. It's like boring. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? For the sake of it. The film was cool, and then I helped her research WE, the Wallace
Yeah. Yeah.
Simpson.
I remember that.
Then I didn't work on that. I'd gone off to do something else. I can't remember what. But I used to skip. The guy used to call us the B team when we were working together. He'd come in. Oh, what's happening with the B team today? So it was like you'd jump between them, which was,
That's a slight double-edged sword, isn't it? I suppose.
yeah, kind of precarious as well.
Yeah. So
Excuse me.
I the reason you came into my orbit, the reason I'd heard of you, I mean, taking this like almost to the back end of the story,
Yeah.
is I listened to the Kermode and Mayo program, that podcast, as we call it now,
Brilliant.
and you had a letter read out
Yes.
about your experience with your feature directorial debut, a film
Yes.
called Walk Like a Panther. Can you, for those who weren't listening to that particular show,
Mhm.
just explain the letter and what motivated you to write it?
Yeah, it was basically something that Mark had said about rating systems.
Yeah,
On like 4 stars, 2 stars, but especially the online ones that not like magazines, right?
yeah,
Proper magazines, we can get it and these are like, where no offense, but everybody's a critic, everybody's
of
opinions
course.
out
Yeah,
there that the but literally now, right? Everybody
yeah,
is a critic. And so he wasn't very happy with them, and I certainly not. And the reason being, I mean, I guess we'll talk about Panther in a minute, but when Panther came out, it was vilified
yeah.
by
I remember
critics.
that.
Absolutely, and it was kind of like, whoa. I don't think it was that. Listen, it's not a game changer. It's not a classic film, but it was a film that had, you worked very hard with a lot of people working very hard, having really come from nowhere. There was no leg up with Guy or anybody to get
Yeah.
that made. I wrote a script that landed on the desk of Thomas Jaggeus, who was the head of Fox International, which then went to Stacey Snider, who was the chairman of the studio, and
Yeah.
she greenlit the film, eventually, and we made this little film that was about many things,
Yeah.
in particular community, and trying to highlight pub closures and things. And it was a very nostalgic piece. And it was just like those kind of cruel comments. Anyway, back to the star range. So if you go on like IMDb, I think it's on 5 out of 10 or something, which is more or less probably about right. Um, if you look at Amazon, it's on 4 out of 5. But then if you go on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 8%,
Yeah.
right? Critics score.
Yeah.
And then the audience score was up at about 64 at some point. It fluctuates. But it's an algorithm or whatever it's. We only had there were 11 paper reviews.
Yeah.
So that review that's 8% is taken from 11 people's
Yes.
opinions. One of them was great, was Culture Vulture. Mark actually his review was like obviously on the on the podcast, and he'd said that he didn't understand what the problem was with the film, like as in what people's problems were. He couldn't
Yeah.
understand it, which was lovely to hear because he's a critic that I'd really respect. And so it was just so I wrote in saying, look, it really isn't fair when you've got this because if you go on Apple,
Yeah.
that's the one they put up. Rotten Tomatoes, 8%, right?
Yeah.
That's what people see. And people do go, I'm not going to watch that. 8%, 8%. People quote the Rotten Tomatoes score. And it's like,
Filmmakers quote the Rotten Tomatoes score. It's on
yeah,
movie posters now from studios, the Rotten Tomatoes score.
exactly. So
Yeah.
so it really damages, especially when you look, if you've got maybe, because we screened it a couple of times in the States. It was always meant to just be a UK release. And if it did
Yeah.
well, it would have
Yeah.
gone over. We screened it a couple of times in the States, and they really got it at these screenings. They really understood it. Like they were like, hey, it's like a mom and pop business that's going down, and the guys get together to say, and they got it, and I appreciated their understanding of it. Here it was just like a attack, like this
Yeah.
is awful, and some awful things. Um, and it's funny because you look at these critics, and I don't want to. I'm not mudslinging here, but
Yeah.
some that have done video reviews, and you watch them, and you go, you're shit, sorry, but you're really bad
No.
at doing what you've written about how bad this film is that I've made
Yeah.
in a very nice way that's been edited and it looks lovely in the newspaper. But when you're talking about a film and trying to review it directly to camera or in conversation with someone, you're all over the place. You know what I mean? It's like you just so it's it. I just don't understand why it was so attacked. I just don't. I'm like with Mark. I agree that these rating systems are just a bit weird, and they can affect your chances. Because the
Uh,
film you can't you could buy the film I think on Sky and on
You
Prime.
can, and on Prime. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't. But it's not on.
It's
It
not on
should
DVD.
where it should live is on Star because it was Fox.
They've just changed that to Hulu again, haven't they, in the
Oh, have they?
UK?
Have they
Yeah,
changed
that's
it?
that's just becoming Hulu.
Has it really?
So,
Okay.
I mean, the Rotten Tomatoes mechanic, I just think is fundamentally flawed
Yeah.
because the way if a film gets 9 out of 10, for argument's sake, the score isn't 90%. That counts as one positive mark.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
there's no gradation to it, and I don't like. I mean, I don't like Rotten Tomatoes anyway, and
Yeah.
I never signed up to it for that reason.
Yeah.
In terms of critics, so I mean I've got a foot in that camp, and I always look at it that if I can only afford to go to the cinema once a month and have to get a babysitter in or something like that, or if I've only got 10 quid, I have to be on that person's side
Yeah.
rather than the filmmaker's side. And it's quite
Yes.
difficult when you sometimes know the filmmaker as well.
Of
But
course.
I remember when someone applied to write for me at one outlet I was working at, and they were trying to impress me, and they'd done this review of a film they didn't like, and to make the point, they filmed it in the toilet. And I'm just like, and there's a human being at the end of it somewhere. And I do think in a review, you've got to be able to say something that you could look a human being in the eye and say.
Yes.
So after that, I bought Walk Like a Panther.
Okay.
I got in touch with you after the thing. Said I'd be interested in having a chat. It's taken us what, about 17 years to sort the chat.
Yes.
I bought Walk Like a Panther. I'd give it 3 stars. No,
Out
if we're
of.
doing a star out of 17, no, out of 5.
Well, that's very
I
kind.
thought it was a perfectly fun, interesting and enjoyable family movie, really.
Yes,
And also, I mean, you've got Julian Sands in there,
I know. God
which
rest his
I
soul.
mean, what must have been one of his final roles.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, outside of the fact that heck, it exists, which looks a minor miracle in itself,
Yeah.
it sort of struck me as a kind of hark back to the films that were powering British cinema at the end of the 90s and the early 2000s. Like just made from similar DNA of the Full Monty, Brassed, which I think
Yeah.
are the high bars for me. I
Of
know
course.
people go for Billy Elliot, but Brassed in particular for me, I
Rest
just
me
think
too. Me too.
an adorable film.
I love that so.
So that's so I don't stab you in the back and say something different when we go out, because these conversations rarely happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's been the when that letter gets read out? Apart from you get a message from a weird person like me, does that change anything? Did you get people come in touch, or is it just like
No,
shouting a bit into the void? Right.
no.
So tell me, I mean, let's talk about this film then,
Hmm.
because I would imagine, all due respect, a lot of people haven't heard of it.
Yes,
And
yeah.
I've got, you sent me, you're one of the few interviewees who's ever done this, right? For those on camera, Dan sent me just this. I asked, have you got just like some of the stuff that I don't know about that I can't find research? And you sent me this list. And I didn't know about, there was in 2011, there's a pilot of this thing, Walk Like a Panther.
Yes.
So what's 2011? Because the film itself's what, 2018?
18, yes. So we initially that the idea for Panther was came through me and Stevie Graham when we were having a conversation
I love
and
this. So
and it
how do you start? I mean, let's go right to the roots. How
okay
do you and Stephen know each other? Because
from
he's a
Snatch.
constant, and that was the first time you crossed and
We
you
met on
became,
Snatch, became absolute brothers from other mothers, as he used to call us, and
yeah,
we've just been so close since then. Like best
and
mate.
still are.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very,
So
very.
he's going to walk in the background now or something like that and
No,
nick
it's
your
behind you,
scarecrow
though.
poster. No, that's Kermit the Frog, mate.
No,
Don't-
no, Hannah and his kids, and it's like they're. I mean, just while we're there, I mean, I honestly could not be more happy and proud, and of their achievements as a whole,
yeah,
what they've done, and what obviously adolescence has sent them stratospheric, but. I'm sure the incline, and
yeah,
the like after this is England, the struggle to get a job, and that's what really happened. And then it's just a piece after piece, and just impressed everybody everywhere he
yeah.
goes. And then anyway, there we go. Um, so so 2011, we came up with this idea. We'd raised some money through mates
Yeah,
to shoot the pilot because we thought it'd be great to do as a TV series. Now, this
yeah,
is really harsh lesson. So we had Serge Pizzorno from Kasabian. He put money in because Tom Meehan played. So in the feature, we have Scroobius Pip and Guz Khan playing Terry and Terry, right?
yes.
Sort of
So the feature's
bodyguard.
about. We should set up as well. The feature is about amateur wrestlers
Yes,
in
it's
a pub
basically about
environment. Yeah,
it's 80s wrestlers coming back together to
yeah,
save the local pub from closure, right?
yeah,
And they're in saving the community. That's
yeah,
basically what it was, all right? And so and the pilot was the same thing, but Terry and Terry were just Terry.
yeah, yeah,
in and it was played by Tom Meehan, who used to be the lead singer of Kasabian, and Ian Mercer from Corrie and from many more things, like he did Pirates, and he was in the Peterloo, but he played the Neil Fitzmaurice role in
yeah.
the in the feature. Um, so we shot this pilot up in Leeds, and it was a little bit more gritty, but mostly the same cast. We had Sean Pertwee in place of Julian Sands back then, and he was. I couldn't actually hardly work with him because he was making me cry with laughter so much as
Yeah.
this. He plays a sort of good-looking old wrestler, right? The blonde who's still got his boof and all that. And he loved to wear his gold little budgie smugglers, Tony Sweet Cheeks Smith. Um, and so we shot the pilot. Now, I did it with Finite Films, Amy Gardner. They're great. We worked together on that. And we put a very polished, with credits, full, Serge did a version of the Littlest Hobo theme tune for the final for the final credits, because that's at the end of the pilot. They get on the bus and Stevie Graham looks out and he sees like an
Littlest
Alsatian run
hobo.
by and he starts to sing.
I mean, I am sat here with a Mysterious Cities of Gold t-shirt on if we're doing sing along a theme tune, but
I know that one too.
yeah.
um and so we shot the pilot, very polished, and that was the problem. We sent it out, and people were like, "But what can we? What is our part in it?" Instead of going, "Well, this could
Oh,
be,"
that's interesting.
yeah, it was really Channel 4 went so took we took it so far with Channel 4, and eventually they turned around and went, "Well, it's not funny enough for our comedy, and it's too dramatic for the comedy, and it's too funny for the drama, so we can't do it." I mean, we'd spent months with them. Sky, Stuart Murphy at the time, I actually shoved it through his letterbox, and he
Yeah.
messaged me saying, "We want to make this," and then just went quiet. And it was a lot of the feedback was because it was so finished. It was as if I've gone, "Ha, you're going to put this on the TV," and that wasn't the intention. The intention was, "Here's a really
But
great."
that's bizarre feedback, isn't it? I mean,
Oh,
what are you supposed to do? Take 10% off it so an executive can do something, can be seen to have their, is it that simple? Is it
pretty much,
okay?
pretty much. But you've got an entire series that you could, because it could have lived in that sort of 30
Yeah.
minutes. Phoenix Night. It's more dramatic than Phoenix Nights, but some
No,
of
I
the
get the format.
characters,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So, and that kicked around for 2 or 3 years before we went, "It's not going to happen." And then Stevie Graham said to me, "You've got to write this as a feature." I always said it was going to be a feature. I actually think we didn't. I think we actually did say it was going to be a TV show at the beginning,
Yeah.
but I said it's got
That's your fight with him. I'm not arguing with Stephen Graham.
to exactly.
Whatever he says, yeah, I'm
I
going
don't
with
want to
that.
fight with him. So I ended up writing the feature, and we added the pub closing and all this kind of stuff, just to give it some dramatic tension, because it's the thing is, the highlighting pub closures. It's like, for example, another sadly deceased also is Peter Martin from
Yeah, brassed off. Yeah.
Off, and he was in Panther, and oh god, it was a joy just working with him. I just loved him.
Yeah.
Uh, and do you ever remember the Picture Box kids
Oh,
TV series?
oh, I'm a very young man.
Huh?
I'm very young.
No, because the guy that used to present that was in it. I put some people in that I really, when I was a kid, it was almost like the most expensive home movie Fox ever made, because I was putting things in it. Like,
Yeah.
for example, Julian, as you referred to Julian Sands, there's a scene where he's sitting in front of a terrace of houses in his
Yes.
lollipop man outfit, and the kids come up, and the window behind him is the window into the living room where I used to watch wrestling with my grandparents. My
Oh,
grand.
lovely. So, I mean, geographically cite it for us then.
It's,
I don't think we've touched on that.
yeah, well, it's set in the north. It's set in a fictional place,
Yeah.
but it's where I went to school as a kid. It's the village I grew up in, Meltham, where the video library was.
Yeah.
The first place I got punched in the face, Meltham Rec. We've got the whole
The
that's in there.
first place.
The first place, yeah.
Okay.
The second place, no. Then there's the house. There's a spooky house when we were a kid that you used to run past. You'd be coming home from school, and then you'd see,
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't like this place," and you run past it. And that's Beck Farm. That's where we put Chris Fairbanks, Leslie Beck,
Yeah.
that farm up in there. So we've got so geographically it's up in Yorkshire, in Huddersfield. We shot in Huddersfield Town Hall, where I went to see Big Daddy wrestle as a kid. So it's
Yeah.
all that, because the thing about it as well is, when we watched wrestling, and it was bigger than football
Yeah. It
on the
was
Saturday,
ITV, Saturday
it was
lunchtime. Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
But everybody, no matter what class you were, you stopped and you watched the wrestling, and everybody
Yeah.
spoke about the wrestling. And it was such that glorious time. As it advanced, it was like, "Oh, I've got to be home at 9 o'clock with grandma to watch Golden Girls on Friday." Everything had a time. You
Yeah.
couldn't, so I loved sitting with my tribe, my family, to watch something, and that's what I was trying to put across with the film. That was one
Yeah.
of the motifs I wanted to. It is about family and community, because when I was looking into the pub closures, at the time we made it, there was about 30 pubs a week closing.
Yeah. Well, it's gone
And
up now. That's
yeah, it's gone up, but it's like like Peter Martin was talking about because he like, when he'd lost his wife and he would go to the pub and or people would sit with half a mile for about 3 hours
yeah,
just to see people and have maybe a little conversation. You see, because they're lonely, and you take that pub away, what do they have? The community's got, you know what I mean? It's like youth
yeah.
clubs, things like that. As all these things get decimated, you're left with what? Your phone.
So, I mean, I got sent a bio thing off you. I've dug through my archives of anything I was ever sent on this film back in my Den of Geek days, and it just said having adapted novels for James Patterson and Attica Locke, which
Yes.
isn't on your long sheet of paper. I don't think that you sent me over.
Yeah, so Kill Me If You so I directed a video with Idris Elba for Mumford and Sons.
Yeah,
And on that job I met Leopoldo Gu, who's an incredible nutty Mexican
Idris
producer,
Elba,
director, artist. And he
Idris. Yeah,
he
got that.
was working with Patterson and
Patterson.
you got this is unfair. If I went through all of your the film stories and wrote some names down that you'd said, come on, I'd probably still beat you actually, wouldn't I? So
I,
at this stage,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I mean, it's total.
How am I supposed to
But
tell you without
because
giving you the
but
name?
there's a serious bit to this because what I love about it is the undercurrent of your story is a guy living in Huddersfield, a zillion miles away from the perception of where the film industry is, who's built this career. So I
Yeah.
do actually think it's important you name the names because we've
Yes.
just seen I Swear come out, and Robert Aramayo has been talking extensively about growing up in Hull and Hull Truck Theatre, and he takes on the leading role in this film. It will get him BAFTA nominations. So, but he's name checking Hull and the people,
Yes.
and then he talks about, and it's important because those of us who weren't born
Absolutely.
in London or were born north of the M25,
Yeah.
this wasn't a path.
Exactly.
So as much as I'm pulling your leg,
Yeah. Yeah.
I do actually think it's important.
No, it is. It's like when Stephen talks about Kirby and the Everyman Youth Theatre and all that. He always talks
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Always will do, because that's where he got his start. That's where he got his.
And also, it might make a kid go to Kirby to the Everyman Youth Theatre.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Look, nowadays, look, when I did want to work in film in Huddersfield, there was nothing near, soon after I'd left, there might have been a screenwriter course at Leeds University or things like that. But
yeah,
now you look up there, it's brilliant. It's thriving.
yeah.
You see productions up there all the time. It's like where they shot Adolescence in, oh God, it's just outside, it's Pontefract, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ponte Carlo, as we call it. So it's up
Carlo.
so it's just up there, and you see these studios popping up. And you go, oh God, it warms with the cockles because I'm like, I love the fact that's happening. Not that I don't want stuff to be shot in London, but
Yeah.
I do want stuff to be shot outside as well. You know what I mean? I think I remember when we were originally talking about Panther, they wanted me to film it in London and pretend it was Yorkshire, and I'm like, okay, because there's the Dales, right? Let me just get some.
Surely that's more expensive.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But that was their idea. They wanted to shoot it down here, and anyway. So James Patterson, Leopoldo had. I met him on this video, and he said to me, "You should write adapt a novel for James." Now, I didn't know who James Patterson was. I found
Yeah.
out he puts out 12 to 14 novels a year.
Yeah, he writes some of them.
Yeah, with a pencil as
Yeah.
well. I
Yeah.
found out he writes,
Yeah. He
and then he
doesn't
has.
write many of them, but he writes some of them.
Yeah, he does all the Alex Cross ones, and then
Yeah.
he credits the other writers
Yes, in
as well,
slightly smaller font on his
slightly
front
small.
cover. Yeah.
Now I adapted one. I don't know what I can say. I mean, called "Kill Me If You Can."
Yeah.
Kind of what I felt like after I'd read it, but um, it was tricky. It was a tricky. It was a tricky thing because I adapted it. To be honest, it was great for me because that's what got me into the WGAE, the Writers Guild of America West, which was I was living in LA at the
Yeah.
time, and so that was a really good thing for me to
Got it.
have. So have the guild and have the
Yeah.
medical insurance because like just to get my tablets for my condition would be $10 as opposed to $340 for a prescription. That's what it cost,
Yeah.
$340 if I didn't have the Writers Guild, which is
Yeah.
10 ago. I mean, what? Anyway, so I did that. novel. I don't think it didn't go anywhere. He went to the guys actually who did. Oh, there was a war film years ago that went number one. It was like these. God, it was like a realistic one that was. They used real soldiers in it. It went to number one in the States. It was big in America, not here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't remember the name of it. But the directors of that, they were stunt guys and they were
Yeah.
gonna do it. And then I don't know what happened with it. Because when you're a writer for hire, once you've done it, you pass it on and they do either put it
Well,
on a shelf, make it
you,
or
you talk about writing and war films. There was a point where you were going to do the Wild Geese with Guy Ritchie, weren't you?
yes. I mean, I'm not even gonna go into who we met on that trip because you haven't got enough paper. But
Oh, I have.
it's
Look, I've
just,
got an A3 pad,
I love how
just like
eager
yeah.
you were.
Don't you worry. And I've got a backup biro as well.
That was incredible. So that we were writing it in London and we were writing it for Hollywood Gang, Gianni and Anari and those guys who did like Troy.
Yeah. So
And
this was
those,
what about 2008, 2009, wasn't it? Yeah.
it will have been, yeah. I think
Yeah.
I wasn't working with Guy and then I'd gone back to work with him on this. Um, and we went to LA and they put us in this posh hotel for a month,
Yeah.
staying in this hotel, and we were working on it. And this he didn't do it because he did Sherlock instead. And so of course I met his lordship, Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So
He's
bad.
great in
I
Bowfinger, he
really,
is. He's
I
great
re-
in Bowfinger.
huh?
He's great in Bowfinger, it's Robert
He's
Downey
great in
Jr.
both. He's great in Natural Born Killers. I was thinking about that the other day.
Good
Matilda,
God.
Matilda.
Good God, there's a film.
But but from that trip, there's like some weird sort of, and it's not about me. There's a meme like
Yeah.
online of him. I'm in the foreground, Downey Jr. and Susan Downey, and then there's me and two girls that I knew, and then it says, "What's going on with Iron Man's dog?" And this, I get sent this every few days, and
So
it's
you're in
like,
a meme with Robert Downey Jr.
yeah, I'll send it to you.
Did you not put that on your resume? Is that
I should put that. I
you
just
should put I was gonna
just
that's
put the meme
probably the
on.
most seen thing you're in.
It probably is. Yeah, but they don't know it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They will after this.
it's a bit dark. It looks like a dog's been turned into a human,
You'll
and
be
that's
AI'd out of it over time.
A
Yeah.
up, as we say up
Yeah.
north.
A
That's
ups,
what.
yeah. Yes.
Um, but yeah, so we were writing that on that trip, and in fact, there's a very funny story on that. Like, because he was working with Joel Silver, and he invited us to the Lakers game. I'm not into basketball, right?
Yeah.
And we'd had quite a few drinks, and we got literally courtside, right?
Okay.
I'm here with Guy and Joel behind us, DiCaprio there, Jack Nicholson there, and Tom Cruise there. Right? They're not with me. I'm just saying this is the room. And they give you a drinks menu that's like laminated, big
Yeah.
plastic laminated thing. I'd had a few drinks. Somebody went to pass me the menu. I went to grab it, and it went onto the court while they were playing. Now,
That's bad, isn't it?
if a 7 foot chap steps on that while he's playing and slips and
Yeah.
breaks a finger, I'm
Yeah.
in trouble. Joel, when he was apoplectic, he was red, like what? Like people were like going mad, and all I could think of, Guy was laughing at me, and I'm
Yeah.
going, what am I going to do? So I just sort of scurried on. It wasn't really far on, but I scurried onto the court,
Yeah.
grabbed it. I got booed for getting. Can you imagine? I'm
Yeah,
like,
but Joel Silver's a man with a temper so nuclear. They cast him in Who Framed Roger Rabbit off the back of it. They couldn't find anyone who I remember the story of that. They couldn't find anyone who could be the bastard producer
is that
at the
right?
start. Yeah, and they said we need someone like Joel Silver. It's just like we'll just get Joel Silver,
I
and he
love
just
that.
came on and just
I
was
love that.
himself.
I love that. It's genius.
Yeah,
So, anyways, yeah. So we did the Wild Geese script, but he stopped to do Sherlock, I believe. I think that's what happened. They were
right.
talking,
The,
so it just
yeah,
went away. It's a shame because they were talking about it being a big tentpole thing for Warner Brothers, but it never happened. There's a few. I've written I wrote an animation thing with Guy, which was quite interesting. It was like a cross between. Uh, it was like Oliver Twist, but set in a scrapyard, like these kid orphans that like
a family
built.
film.
Yeah, a family
Yeah,
thing, and they built cars because it was before hydropower was really a thing, and they were
Yeah.
trying to build a car that was eco-friendly. It's not on the, it won't be on the long list.
I'm looking at your long list now. It's nowhere
Yeah,
near.
it's long enough. And now I've got to add a meme and an animation show.
Well, that's it. You can just delete everything off the back of it there. But I mean, I'll name check as well. Other things you've got on there. You work with Noel Gallagher,
Ten
and
videos are directed.
yeah, you've got Kasabian on there as well. You wrote an episode of Boiling Point 2. But I'm curious, bringing it back to the guy who made Walk Like a Panther,
Yeah.
which is I don't know. You once you've realised that ambition of
Yes.
writing and directing a film
Yes.
and had to go through what 20 years of career to
Yes.
finally get that off the ground, with presumably that being in the background all along. I want to do that. I want to do that. I
Yes.
want to do
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're we're now what five, what six, 7 years on from
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and your name is linked with a bunch of other features. And are more features the goal for you? Is
A
that
hundred
is that the
percent.
North Star?
Absolutely. I mean, look,
And that's the kid who went to the video shop, wants to be making the stuff on the shelves of the video shop.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what, Simon? I don't know if it's driven. It's partly driven by my mom upping the cleaning game so we could afford to get
Can
the
you
move.
tell me your mum's name? Because she sounds like a superhero. Let's not call her
Margaret
just your mum.
Margaret Haig. She is an absolute angel.
Margaret Haig sounds like a superhero, and let's name
And
check her.
and Paul, her husband, who's
Yeah.
also a hero.
Yeah.
So they are because they supported me hugely. I mean, I features is my dream. I love. I mean, so you can imagine when I got to make that. So the 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 pain of the is it pain? I guess it is painful when when it gets the response it gets from critics and it
Well,
kind of gets hidden away.
so this is something that's not often addressed. Now, it's fine if you
Yeah.
don't want to talk about it, but
No,
can
no.
you take me in? It sounds terrible to say. Can you take me into the pain and how you kind of find a way through it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you find a way through it by the indelible realization that you've made a feature film,
Yeah, but how
right?
long does it take for that to kick in?
Well, well, as soon as every day I was in pre-production, every day I was in production, every day I was in post, I
Yeah,
was like, just I don't know where I was. Do you know what I mean? It's just a
yeah,
weird, some plane where I exist where I am at my happiest. Apart from obviously family and children, but career-wise, work-wise, if I'm writing, I'm generally writing alone. If
yeah,
I'm writing, there's a couple of things we can talk about. I'm normally writing alone. I get bored. I'm like,
yeah,
I want to go and do other things. I want to watch stuff. I'm like, so, but when I'm amongst a crew or on a set or then I'm just at my happiest. It's just that it's that sort of like collaboration because I'm very collaborative. I'm very open. I'm like, I'll encourage anybody to come and give me an idea while we're
yeah,
shooting because a lot of people, a lot of directors are like, don't talk to me. The runner can't do this. No, no, no. I was the runner, right? I know.
yeah.
I gave
Love
idea. And
that.
I think that's generosity's come from Guy because I would give ideas whilst we were shooting Snatch that made it into the film. That and
Yeah,
just going up and going, what about this? And because we'd got that close relationship, and through working, developing the script, he was he'd encouraged that. And so I think it's important because somebody might have an incredible idea that they think, oh, I better not say anything, but it could make the film 1% better. Then tell
yeah,
me, and so um so that's where I'm perhaps making features. And so when Panther came out and it got kicked about, it was like, it's a bit tough. But the hardest thing was just not going into something else straight away. You just read about people that make,
yeah, yeah,
there are some terrible things out there, and I hate saying that because I know what people go through to make them, right? I do. It
yeah,
doesn't matter how bad it is. Some people have got together and made it. But and they go on to do other stuff constantly. And I'm like, why can't I get and then lockdown hits. And then,
yeah,
when you're self-employed, it's very tough. And so all that pain, and it was at a time when I went through separation and my daughter was taken to live in America. So there's that on top. And so you're like, oh God, things got very dark for me.
yeah,
Very dark. And I don't drink. I was drinking back then, but thankfully I didn't find myself at the bottom of a bottle because I could quite easily have done so,
yeah,
because I've got quite an addictive personality. So I certainly would have, if I'd drunk, I would have carried on. But thankfully I didn't. And so it's very difficult. And then, but during lockdown, I started to write Cine Tempo with Goldie, which is a six-part series that I have to say I felt is one of the strongest things I've ever written.
Yeah.
I sent it to Hannah, Stephen Graham's wife, Hannah Walters, who has got an insanely brilliant mind and is so creative.
Yeah.
She FaceTimed me after she finished reading it in tears, saying, I've not read anything like this since This Is England. This is insane. This is unbelievable. Can't get it made. Can't get it made. Scott Free jumped on board. They want to make it,
Yeah.
but no, like they really like it. Sharon, who's the sort of, I think she's the head of development or head of TV, loves it. But without a broadcaster or a network, and I scratch my head because it's such a unique, creative piece, and it's semi-biographical about Goldie, but it's also a crime drama. It deals with mental illness. So I'm thinking, things come in cycles, like everything's a spy show on TV, or
Yeah.
everything's this. If, I thought with adolescence, this might kick into that, but right now, to be honest, we're not out there with it again. I think they're gonna repackage it and go back out because that's the other thing as well. When you work so hard on something, and you just think it's gonna go and it doesn't,
Yeah.
and when you've made when you only made a feature, I think to be honest, if Fox hadn't have shut down, I'd have probably carried on working with them because we this is quite interesting because we were hit by so basically Fox International
Yeah.
who makes non-English language films.
I think you're the only English language film that opened with the Fox International Pictures logo.
Correct.
Yeah.
And with when it was picked up and they took it, there was I've learned all this afterwards, and it could be hot air, I don't know, but apparently there was some sort of infighting between International and Searchlight
Yeah.
in the States. Not because I'm not saying because Searchlight were like we want to make it. It's because they were making an English language speaking film. There was some kind of issue.
Yeah.
While we're shooting, no, when we're in post production, that's when Disney start circling,
Yeah.
and all the execs just start to jump ship. So we're in post production. Like I think Nick Love had a film cancelled. Someone else had a film. It's like I think we were the last one,
Yeah.
and so everybody jumped ship. And then Fox International shut down. We hadn't even finished the film. So then Fox Searchlight had to pick it up in the UK to finish it and market it. And it
Yeah.
was a film, they didn't really care about because they'd not been that involved with. However, they did a reasonably good job. I was just disappointed. There were a lot of there wasn't a poster in the UK in the London Tube.
Yeah.
And you're like, but it's a big, bright, lovely poster with Stevie Graham and Dave Johns in a leotard. I mean, people like cheering him up on the way to work. They'll want to go and see it. But they put all the money up north where you didn't really need to spend it because it was being reported we were making it up there.
Yeah.
Um, so when that happened, and then Searchlight, I mean, sorry, then the UK picked it up, and Cameron Saunders, who was the MD at Fox here, was unbelievable. It was amazing. He supported the film as best he could. He's not obviously not there anymore. He really tried to help, but it just didn't get the right push, I don't think. And then I feel that the disbandment of Fox with us right in the middle
Yeah.
is the reason that it's not on any of these because nobody can find it. It's a $5 million movie. It's a pocket change to them. It's like it's not X-Men. X-Men wouldn't disappear.
It's the same. I mean, Entertainment One disappeared not long afterwards, trying to find quite a lot of their films. At the point we're recording, Paramount's apparently going to buy Warner Brothers next and wipe
But
another studio off the map. And then
really,
there's and there's. I mean, it's a very very odd time.
it's weird,
I
isn't
think
it?
it's a very odd time. You talking about not being able to go straight into a job reminded me of something Philip Noyce once said. And Philip Noyce used to, director of things like Patriot Games, Clear and Present
Yeah.
Dangerously. And so he told a story of he asks his daughter
Know her.
to look at his films, and apparently she took a look at Sliver and said, "I'd get your next job before this comes out."
It's really
And then took a look at Clear and Present Danger and said, "You can take your time, you'll be fine."
brilliant.
Isn't that lovely?
It's great.
It's
Unfortunately, my daughter was 6, so I couldn't show up Panther.
I think his daughter was like 11 or 12 when he showed her Sliver.
Right.
I mean,
I worked with her on something. She was she involved with Amnesty or somebody like that?
who are we on about?
not Philip Noyce's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Can't remember what it was that we were.
Okay.
There was so anyway.
Well, I want to name check quickly because our time's coming to an end. Although
Right.
I'm going to set you up for a part two. But you also rewrote 30 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in rhyme.
Yes, yes. Rhyming is something that I do. That I find rhyme easier to write than anything else because your dialogue is obviously limited. It has
Yeah,
to sound like something. So it's an easier thing for me. I don't know why. Because my short film, which I made in 2009 with Stephen
called.
and Lena, The Devil's Wedding,
Yeah,
is all told in rhyme. It's
yeah.
15 minutes of rhyming dialogue, and I tell you, people actually that's what got me an agent in the
Well, you
US.
shot that on film in London, didn't you, as well? You
Yes,
did
we
that on
did.
celluloid, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We really, oh yeah, we did. It's amazing, and I think we shot it on 16, and then blew it up to 35.
Yeah,
It's,
love it.
oh, it's yeah.
Proper film
Um,
nerd, love it.
right. I went to the Vista print last night of One Battle After Another. I'd seen it at the IMAX in the
Yeah.
70 mil because there's one 70 mil, isn't there, outside the US, and
Yes,
there are
that's right. That's right.
four Vista Vision prints in the world, and one of them's at the Odeon Lux.
I remember when Tarantino was trying to do the Hateful Eight, and was it there was only like one or two places in
Yes,
the
you
UK who
could
could
actually
show.
show
And
it.
even when Ron Howard did Far and Away, and they made a big thing of like it's the 65 70 millimeter print, and you had to go to London. That or Bradford, I think, for a while you could
Yeah,
do.
the Bradford. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, so I've written this short in rhyme. Did very well on the sort of festival circuit. That was an exciting time because listen, Sam, running was the most exciting time because I was just meeting all these people and so
yeah,
grateful to be in it and not the industry hadn't been tarnished at this point for me, and it still isn't. It's just it's just another industry, but you just meeting all these people, and without Guy, I wouldn't have met any of them.
yeah.
So I'm forever grateful for that. And um, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought then. We were talking, I digressed with Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So I
Yeah.
went on to, so basically I rewrote the Universal Declaration, all 30 articles in rhyme I did it for Smiley. It's a company I work for that now and again. They're a very
Yeah.
philanthropic, they own the smiley face logo. And so we got some great artists to read it and we put it out there. And it had over 1 billion views online.
I'm going to name the artists because you're scared too. Dame Judi Dench, Olivia Colman, Jude Law, Bella Ramsey, Annie Lennox. You got people
Rita
like them
Ora.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, great people.
I mean,
Great.
I want to name check that. Just I don't think people will necessarily know you're involved with it. Might not have heard of it. And
Yeah.
B, it comes back to the guy in Huddersfield.
Yeah.
You know that little kid in Huddersfield who's just like and his mom who's taking on the extra cleaning and just
Yeah.
what the small things can trigger.
Exactly. I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
the scale is quite something. Tell me about the films then that you're in the midst of trying to get off the ground. What can you tell me?
okay. When you mentioned I Swear, I haven't seen yet, but I'm
Yeah,
dying to see. I'm dying because I know Simon Hayes did the sound on it, didn't he? Who did
yeah,
Lock, Stock, and Wicked and Bond. He's an Oscar winner, and he did that, and I love him for that. I love him for just doing a film like
yeah,
this. So I'm attached to direct a feature of called it's about a kid called Johnny Kennedy who had EB, which is a skin disorder, and
yeah,
it was the subject of like an Emmy-winning documentary called "The Boy Whose Skin Fell Off,"
yeah,
and it is. I have to say, I've just done a rewrite on it for the producers. I didn't write it; someone else has written it, but I've done two polishes on it for them to hopefully shoot next year. It's one of the most hopeful, sorry, spirited stories that I've ever heard. I mean, this kid was, he was born, he was given a week to live. He died
yeah,
at 36, but from cancer, not from EB. And this kid, I mean, it's not going to give anything away because it's in the
yeah,
documentary. But he campaigned and once because obviously he was growing up in a time without mobile phones and things, and the internet. So it was a newspaper article that was shown to his mom that made them realize there were more like him.
yeah.
right? They just didn't, doctors knew nothing about the disease. Even in the 80s and 90s, it was like it's really weird. Like they just didn't have the research. And so ends up campaigning and helping. He ends up in Downey. His best friend was a lord, right?
Yeah,
Who he grew up with up north, who was actually a lord. He used to take him to the house, he used the Houses of Parliament to have lunch and stuff. It's a really beautiful friendship. And he ended up with Sherry Blair and in Downing Street, this kid, and he got her to help push eBay, Deborah, which is the charity, and that was his final act. He died on the train on the way home. This story, but this kid, it's like he's in agony. His
yeah.
bandages are being changed. He's in absolute agony, and he just is cheeky. He swears. He's like funny. He's like, the boy in
Yeah.
I Swear. He's just this spirited kid who just goes, I've got this. I'm going to deal with it. Everyone else can deal with it as well. But, I'm the one at the heart of it. So I am going to make sure I'm okay. And he just fights on and fights on. And it's remarkable. It's one of those films that you watch and you go, actually, my life's probably not quite as bad as I think it is.
And how close is that to going?
Well, I'm speaking. I want Hannah Walters again to play Edna, his mum,
Yeah.
because Hannah, I can't think of anybody who could embody like compassion and strength like she can. And also Billy Howell, we're talking, who wants to play
Yeah.
John. Billy's a great actor, a
Oh,
great
touch
physical
wood.
actor. So yeah, so that's going. There's this writer for hire zombie gig. I mean, it's like a Ibiza zombie thing, which I'm just like, you know
I'll
what?
do the set report. Don't worry.
Yeah, it can be
Yeah.
quite fun.
Yeah.
It could actually, what, we're trying to make it because it could quite easily be that thing, right? And I'm
Yeah.
just like, "Ugh." But I want it, got Into the Void to it and just make it a little bit cooler. And we shall see where it ends up,
Yeah.
and people get involved. But at the moment, I'm just doing the first draft of that. Um, and I'm just developing my own stuff. I'm adapting The Devil's Wedding into a feature because people really like that.
Yeah.
People really like that project. And it's tricky because it rhymes, right? It's like, can people sit for 90 minutes and watch a film where everything's rhyming? And I think the
People
key
sat
to
through Cats.
there you go. Well, did they?
Oh, I did.
Did you?
Oh, God, yeah.
No, but if you think, look, I think one person could probably make a film that rhymes,
Yeah.
right? It's got to just one, and if someone else does it,
Yeah.
like Pitch the Artist. It's black and white and it's silent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It worked, right? It worked. So if you can get it right, and I'm trying to alter it slightly because the audience, I notice, love to try and guess what the next line is and things like that. So I'm using visuals like a physical hand instead of the word hand, things like that. So oh yeah, I was right. I just think it becomes a little bit Rocky Horror, a bit of participation in there.
Okay. Okay.
So it's very dark, very fun, and it ends with a big Busby Berkeley musical number at the end. I mean, look, going from 80s wrestlers to the devil getting married. I mean,
To Busby, but to Busby Berkeley.
Busby Berkeley
I,
music.
I mean, Dan Cadan, you absolutely earn both your name drop and your movie nerd points for this
You're very kind.
conversation. And I hope we can do a part two of this because I mean, I've scratched part of the surface
Yes,
of what you talked about, but I think your story is quite an extraordinary one. I suspect our paths might cross.
I hope so. I really do, and I think
That
he's brilliant. I love film stories, mate. And the magazine, come on, let's get buying that. I mean, just I was well, it is courageous. Do you know what I mean? To put a I know people that are
madness.
working.
It's
Yeah,
madness. Never do a kids magazine either, because
we need
you
to help with that. We need to get that out there.
well, I'll talk to you about that separately. That will be very much appreciated. Dan
All right.
Cadan, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Simon. Bye bye, mate.